The Battle of Rio de Oro was a rather odd single ship naval battle fought in August of 1914 between HMS Highflyer, a protected cruiser, and SMS Kaiser Wilhelm de Grosse, an armed merchant raider of the Kaiserliche Marine, built from an old ocean liner. But just how had this battle off the coast of northwest Africa come to pass? And how had these two ships come to blows? Now, this is not a full history of each of the two ships, but I will go into it a little bit. So let's get started. SS Kaiser Wilhelm de Grosse was an ocean liner built in 1897, requisitioned for service at the outbreak of the First World War. Between 1897 and 1914, the ship and her sisters had turned transatlantic shipping on its head, forcing Cunard and White Star to begin production of new four-stacker liners: Mauretania, Lusitania, Olympic, and Titanic. By 1914, one of those ships, the White Star liner Titanic, had already sank, striking an iceberg on its maiden voyage. By this point, the Germans had once again outdone the British with their Imperator, and the four flyers were no longer the revolutionary ships they had been. But they still put in a good 17 years of service on the transatlantic routes. After being requisitioned by the German Navy, however, she would have a new mission. She was fitted with 6 4-inch guns and 2 37mm guns. She was commissioned as an armed commerce raider to attack British merchant ships in the Atlantic, and Captain Max Rehmann took command. A year after the Kaiser Wilhelm de Grosse was built, a new class of British protected cruiser entered the water. HMS Highflyer was the lead of her class, armed with 11 6-inch guns, 9 12-pounder guns, 6 3-pounder guns, and 2 torpedo tubes. She too had had a good career, and when the war started, she had been the ship to escort the liner Tubantia and her 500,000 pounds sterling gold to Plymouth. She was transferred to Cape Verde to support Admiral Archibald Stoddard's 5th Cruiser Squadron hunting the German raiders, under the command of Henry T. Buller. On August 26, 1914, the German raider was caught by surprise in harbor, taking coal from 3 German and 1 Austro-Hungarian colliers. Highflyer outgunned the Kaiser Wilhelm de Grosse, and the British cruiser demanded the German ship surrender, but Captain Rehmann argued that the British had violated Spanish neutrality. The British disregarded this, as the German ship had already violated Spanish neutrality by taking a week to resupply. So at 15:10, the first shots rang out. For almost 2 hours, the ships fired at each other. Eventually, the Kaiser exhausted her ammo and sought to flee. The crew scuttled the ship and made it to shore and into the Sahara Desert. British sources insisted Highflyer outright sank the liner, but survivors eventually put false the claims that the British had made. Regardless of the actions of the British ship that had put an end to the raider, the Kaiser Wilhelm de Grosse became the first passenger liner to sink during the war. But she was far from the last. The wreck of the ship was identifiable because its starboard side remained above the waterline until she was scrapped in 1952. 1 British soldier was killed and 6 were wounded. German casualties are unknown. HMS Highflyer continued in service, aiding in the hunt for the Karlsruhe, and was added to the squadron to protect West Africa from Admiral Maximilian von Spee, alongside HMS Warrior, Black Prince, and Donegal. The squadron dispersed after the Battle of the Falkland Islands. She also took part in the hunt for another commerce raider, the Kaiser Wilhelm de Grosse's sister, Kronprinz Wilhelm. She was in Halifax in 1917 when the ammunition ship Mont Blanc exploded, and she was scrapped in 1921.